Welcome to the Atlanta Consortium Virtual College Fair. Thank you for joining us. A few housekeeping announcements before we get started. You can use the Q&A button on your screen to type your questions to our presenters at any time. Your camera and microphone are off so the panelists cannot see or hear you. And this is just one of many different sessions happening, so be sure to sign up for additional sessions. This presentation is being recorded and will be available within about a week at strivescan.com/Atlanta. And now I'd like to turn it over to our presenters.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Matt. I am going to go ahead and take just a second to screen share and get our presentation pulled up. In the meantime, my name is Christian Willingham. I am an admissions counselor at Oglethorpe. I've been working at Oglethorpe since about June of 2019. I graduated college in May of 2018. If you are living in the areas of Georgia, Gwinnett County, or Northeast Georgia, kind of the mountains down to Augusta, that would be my territory. I also have my colleague Tucker on. He's going to remain on mute, but he is going to help facilitate the chat. So if you guys want to send some questions, I went a little too far. If you guys want to send some questions, he will be available to answer those as I am talking. You also, if you don't want to send a thing in the chat or the Q&A that's open to everyone, you're welcome to send that privately. Just let me know. Other than that, I am going to go ahead and get started and again, let Tucker know if you have questions. So Oglethorpe University, we are located in the Brookhaven area of Atlanta. For those who are pretty familiar with Atlanta, that's about just 5 minutes from downtown Buckhead Village area, which is just down Peachtree Road. We're about 15 minutes from Midtown. For those who are not familiar with Atlanta, Brookhaven is an awesome area. Really enjoy working in, and I know our students enjoy living in. It's been voted the safest area of Atlanta for the past 20 odd years, which I think is really awesome. So we'll go ahead and jump in. So a few just key things about Oglethorpe to keep in mind. We are a smaller school and we are a liberal arts school. So we have about a little bit around maybe just under 1,400 students, just around there. So that's definitely smaller than probably some other institutions that you've heard of or you're considering. I think that's a really awesome part of Oglethorpe because it's definitely still this awesome group of people, definitely going to be a lot of people that you've never met before, but also you're going to have that kind of community small school experience, which I think is really unique to have in a city and to a bigger metropolitan area like Atlanta. So with that being said, the average class size is going to be about 17. Never going to be bigger than about 24, 25, generally speaking. So you will get a chance to know all of your class, like your classmates, your professors, things like that, which I think is very fun and also a great way to learn. That was how my college experience was. We're also a private liberal arts school. For those that are not familiar with liberal arts and what that means, it doesn't mean that necessarily every major is art. We actually have a ton of different majors available, and I will talk about that a little bit more further down in the presentation. But it doesn't mean we're just an arts school. It basically references the type of education that we offer. I'm going to also reference that a little bit more down the line. As far as some demographics about our campus, we're an incredibly diverse student body at Oglethorpe University. So 51% of our students do identify as people of color. We have students from 20-something states and 30-something countries. And so you will, even though we're a smaller school, it's a chance to meet people from so many different walks of life. Another thing, as you're going through this presentation, you're probably going to be wanting to think, what sets Oglethorpe apart? What makes it different than other schools? And to me, and I think that many of my colleagues would agree, that the most unique thing about Oglethorpe is the small school environment in the big city of Atlanta. So getting to have that community and that often one-on-one experience with professors and mentors, but also having all the opportunity of the city. So we have tons of internship opportunities. Again, I'm going to touch on that in more detail later, but hands-on learning experiences are incredibly important to us. And I think that if that's the way that you like to learn and you want to have an opportunity to do that, then Oglethorpe could definitely be a great fit for you guys. So that connected living, hands-on learning, that's such a good sentence, a description of Oglethorpe as a whole, because not only is the city great for opportunities for learning and for internships, but also it's fun. You have all of that just really right outside your door. You're kind of not in the middle, the thick of things, so you don't have to be experiencing it all the time. Oglethorpe's got its own like sort of closed off bubble, but at the same time you are so close to so many fun, post COVID, we're hopefully going to get back to fun concerts, events, festivals, and so, great places to eat and so much more that we have in the city of Atlanta, which I think is awesome. I definitely love living in Atlanta. I've been living here for a little over 3 years now. So jumping into some academics, I will definitely touch on as much as I can. I can't touch on every single major here today, but if you have specific questions, please do try to let Tucker know in the chat. He's going to be taking a look at that. So the core is kind of our version of gen ed or general education classes. You probably have heard that term, even if you don't really know exactly what it means, or if you're in dual enrollment, you would have taken some gen ed classes at another institution. Our version of that again is called the core. I think that the terms or the sentence job training for every job you'll ever have is such a good description of what liberal arts is. And so these skills here are things that we really like to emphasize in the core in those classes. So there's only going to be about 9 classes, which is not that many. I definitely took more gen ed classes when I was in college. So you only have those 9 classes. So generally speaking, you'll take one a semester. One semester you'll have to take 2 because there's 8 semesters. The very first ones you'll take are called narratives of the self. So that's going to be something kind of based on maybe a little bit philosophy as you're like doing some self-reflection and stuff like that. But also it's going to be really based on collegiate writing, learning how to do that, how to be successful in that. I know that there's one called Human Narratives of the Social Order. I may be saying that totally wrong. Tucker would have taken these classes because he's an Oglethorpe alum. So if you have specific questions about what they are, he is the person to ask. But I do think that the way that they're structured and set up is really cool. So these skills you see here, effective communication, logical debate skills, and critical thinking, creative problem solving, and being able to work well in a team. Those are skills that every employer you ever have will appreciate. I'm on my 4th job post graduation, and I went to a liberal arts school as well. I did not go to OU, but I did go to a private liberal arts school. So these were skills I definitely learned to hone, and I am so thankful for that because every job I've had, like I said, has been thankful for it. Now, you may at this point in your life, and if so, I think this is so admirable, know exactly what you want to do, and you'll do it forever, and you'll never change your major, and you'll never change your job. That could be you. For me, I changed my major literally 5 times, and now like I said, I'm on my 4th job, and I've experienced a lot of different things, and it's been really fun. But I'm so thankful that I have skills like this, and so will every Oglethorpe graduate have these kinds of skills to help them in a job where maybe when you're 25 or you're 42 or you're 57, you want to try a new career, and you're always going to be equipped with things, which I think is awesome. Again, if you have more in-depth detail or questions about the core, I can try to touch on that a little bit more at the end, or you can ask Tucker. That being said, I'm going to go on to more specific with majors. So we have over 60 academic programs at Oglethorpe, and our top major list is all over the board. We have so many opportunities, kind of no matter what you're interested in. So our top major actually is biology. So we have a lot of things in the sciences. Biology, chemistry are 2 really big ones. And so you'll see that we have a new science center, and it's called the Cousins Center for Science and Innovation that was just built in the summer, completed is really what I should say, completed in the summer of 2019. So it's really new. This is a picture, this like glass wall you'll see are these like awesome, I think very modern looking, which is so cool against our very Gothic style architecture. It's very modern looking, sleek, academic building for the sciences. And so all of those labs are brand new, state of the art. Like I said, so many hands-on experiences that you can have not only in the classroom at Oglethorpe, but within the city of Atlanta. And I am not a science person at all. I have a history degree. I don't even know how to count past 17, but this building is so cool. It's actually one of my favorite buildings on campus. And if you are a science person and you're really looking forward to having that be a part of your academic experience in college, I think that you would definitely really appreciate it. Love to have you come see it in person on a campus tour one day. Another top major of ours is business, and definitely being in a metropolitan area. Again, this is like such a connected with Atlanta major that we have. And so the Hammock School of Business is something that was already existing. We already had a business administration major. Definitely in the past few years, we have really built on that. So there's a couple different things in the Hammock School of Business. You could be an accounting major, you can be a human resources major, you can be a business administration major, like I said, and other things that are folded into that as well. Definitely tons of internship opportunities, which is so crucial, especially for that field, to get your foot in the door. And so many great classes. We actually have a full tuition business scholarship as well. So if you're a person who loves that world, you want to know more about it, um, that is something that we would love to give you some more information about. And you could go ahead and be thinking like, I know I want to major in business and in the business world in the Hamrick School of Business. And I would love to compete for the scholarships. You can go ahead and start getting information about that, which I think would be awesome. Outside of that, we have tons of other really popular majors and some maybe that are not as common, but we have, like I said, tons. We have over 60. Some other top majors that I didn't mention would be communication studies. We would also have psychology on that list, economics, theater. So you'll see definitely kind of stuff all over the board. So we have a huge theater program if we have any theater students in the session with us today. We have a full tuition theater scholarship available as well. Lots of partnerships with different theater troupes throughout the city and our theater. I know excuse me, I almost called you Hammonds, Tucker. I don't know why. Tucker excuse me, I'm going to go back. He was involved in that program. I can't go back, but I was pretty much done with that slide anyway. He was involved with that program, so he can also answer some more questions about theater if that's you. I think that's a great thing that we are able to have such an awesome theater program. And the last thing on that slide, I don't know why it's not letting me go back, was individually planned majors. And so that's basically if we're looking at all those 60 plus majors and there's really not something that you're exactly seeing that you want to do and you have this very specific plan, then we can work with you to kind of build your own curriculum with a mentor, with a professor, so that you can have your own individually planned major, which I think is really cool. Definitely would love to answer some more questions if you guys have anything like that. Or, if you're going, you may not even know right now, but I kind of want to take an individualized path in college. That's something that you can be considering now. So looking forward to other things that are setting Oglethorpe apart. I think one important thing to note is faculty mentorship. So at larger universities, and there is absolutely no problem with wanting to go to a larger university. I think that they're awesome and they're able to provide so many awesome resources and academic experiences for you guys. But definitely at a larger university, a lot of times you will have a more lecture hall style course in which you would maybe not really get a chance to know your classmates or your professor. You would maybe not even get to always meet with them. You would meet with a TA, a teacher's assistant, or you'd have to wait and make appointments very far in advance to get a chance to speak with them if you need that additional help or you just want to kind of run your ideas through them. But at Oglethorpe, that's definitely not the case. Our professors are awesome, and the reason they work at a school like Oglethorpe is because they want to be connected with you guys. They want to be there for that additional help and to build those relationship and mentorship opportunities. And so I think that they are definitely awesome. You're never going to have to wait, days and days and days to get in contact with them. You can shoot them an email. You can drop by their office hours. Not only if you need help, like if you're struggling, of course, but also you could be doing good, but you just think you kind of need to get an additional, going over an additional concept or talking about a paper idea or what have you. So I definitely think that they're awesome. And all of my colleagues that are faculty members that I've got a chance to meet have been so helpful with our incoming students, not only current students, but incoming students, making sure that you guys are able to be prepared for the kind of program you want to go into. Also, something we have at Oglethorpe is something called compass advising. And so at every school, you would have an advisor that's not unique necessarily. You would have an advisor that would help you build your schedule for the next semester to make sure that you're on track and not missing anything. At Oglethorpe, that's a little bit more intensive, or if intense is the right word, just a little bit more mentorship and support than you would have at a typical school. So we have about, I don't even know how many compass advisors. I think I used to have the number, but it's people all over campus. I'm actually a compass advisor. I believe that Tiger is a compass advisor. Some people are professors. Some people are just different faculty and staff members you would have never gotten a chance to meet otherwise, which I think is very cool. And those are going to be your just kind of one-stop shop resource for anything on campus at your first year. So definitely there's a huge learning curve with being a freshman, moving away from home the first time. It's not just academics, it's this social element, that you're kind of becoming a new person and coming into a new phase of life. So a compass advisor is just the person that you would meet with 8 times total your freshman year. Definitely more if needed, as needed. It's also a great way if you have questions and you need additional help, that they could be a great resource for that. And it's, how are you doing with your new roommate? Or maybe you had a problem with your roommate and you need some help facilitating issues like that. Or maybe you are having a hard time finding exactly the thing that you want to do on extracurricular side and you need somebody to help you with that. Or you're maybe have some questions about your Spanish class and you want some resources on how you can be doing better or be doing more, pretty much anything that comes to mind, is something a Compass advisor could help you out with. And I definitely am excited to be a Compass advisor. I love getting to work with current students because I don't always get to do it. And I think that in general, that's just a really awesome program to make sure that you're totally prepared and good throughout your freshman year. The last thing that we are going to touch on with this slide is the A Lab. That stands for the Atlanta Laboratory for Learning, and that is really just a huge hub for student resources. And so, one thing that we have in here, actually, Tucker's featured on this slide. I knew that, but I'm seeing him again. I know he was part of the Disney College program. So I've talked a lot about internship opportunities. He was able to do that, I think, as a student when he was still at Oglethorpe, which is very, very cool. That's also something that you can do, I think, postgraduate as well. So some fun resources with the Disney side, but also there's so many other fun internship opportunities that we have partners or we have students who have done something like this in the past that we can help you out with. So we have internship fairs. Again, I'm going to touch on that a little bit further down the slide. And career advisors who can kind of to meet with you as early as a freshman. And I think that would even be a great idea because I know I was so confused about what I wanted to do with my life and frankly still am. But meeting with a career advisor who can just be like, what do you like and how can we start making a plan to get the experience needed to get where you need to be in the world. Another thing that you can go to the A Lab to get resources up on is study abroad. I think that everybody in the world should study abroad. I did not study abroad in college, and it was a huge regret of mine, actually. And it's really not only often an affordable way to go out of the country, but it's someone who there's a group, there is support for you. You're going to be going with peers as well as some mentors and professors. And so I think everyone should study abroad. We have tons of programs. I think we have over 20 partner institutions all across the world. No, one that comes to mind as the biggest is the one in Oxford University in London that I know that a ton of students who especially are involved in business will go do some courses over there for study abroad. There's so many others though, so many different opportunities available depending on your major or the classes that you would want to take. Depending on what time of year you go. So if you want to do a whole semester, you definitely, if you meet the qualifications, can use some scholarship money to do that. You don't have to pay for it completely out of pocket if you're keeping your grades up. So yeah, that's really awesome. That's something that you definitely will find at most schools, but of course, at Oglethorpe, the thing I think that is unique is the immense support that you're going to get in that process, not only as you're trying to begin the process of studying abroad and getting the documents you needed, but also while you are abroad. And so that is very, very awesome. And am I leaving? Also, the Compass Advising just program is kind of housed in the A Lab as well. And then I think I'm trying to think if I've left anything out. Internship, study abroad, and tutoring. We also have tutoring available in any subject. I know that when I was in college, the first time I never had to be tutored with anything. And I definitely had to humble myself and be like, okay, no, I need some help. I don't know how to speak French. I'm very bad at this language, and I need someone to tutor me in this. And so I think that that is an awesome opportunity to go just learn a little bit more, take a little bit extra time on a subject you might be struggling with, or just want to do better in. You may not even be struggling. You may be doing okay, but you want to be doing great. And we're able to offer tutors for you in literally anything that you need. So again, all that's housed in the A Lab that is in our student center, the Turner Lynch Campus Center, and very central to campus for you guys. So looking forward, here we go. So all of that is awesome, but you're also, I'm sure, as teenagers thinking of fun stuff too, as you very well should be. And so thinking about campus living, we have over 60 clubs and organizations. Definitely pretty much anything that you could think about wanting to do, we have that available on campus. Of course, as you probably have commonly heard, you are able to start organizations as well. So if there's not something, you have a group of people with an interest, you can get that started and get that on the books with the Student Government Association. And so, so many different fun things there. We also have 9 Greeks sorority and fraternities. And so I think 23% of our student body participates in that. Great thing about that, I think, is that it's still a large group of people. There's still a fun group of people doing that and a part of Greek life, but it's also not every single student. So if that's not your thing, there's definitely plenty of people who it's also not their thing. And if it is your thing, there's plenty of people that it is. So that's something you could definitely participate in. A lot of our ambassadors that I have met who are current students in admissions are involved in Greek life, and they're definitely so passionate about it and they really love it and have such a fun time. So I think that that is awesome. We also have 16 Division III athletics teams. You're welcome to ask questions in the Q&A if you have, questions about specific teams and recruiting, um, or yeah, things like that. And so that's not only just like a fun thing that you can be a part of and like be on a team and continue the sport that you love and probably have been playing your whole life, but also a fun thing to do while on campus going to see a game. I loved going to see games, just as like a little fun free entertainment when I was in college. I know that there is a really cool, we have like a very unique basketball court that's black. That's really awesome. I know that, I hear students going to see those all the time, some of the current students I see. And then, the baseball field is also just outside of my office window, so I hear them practicing all the time, and also lots of other fun athletics. And two, if you don't wanna play athletics, you don't wanna be on a team, of course, you have intramurals, that you can just kinda stay healthy or stay active or just have something to do that's fun. We have intramurals as well. Looking at on-campus living, so we do have a 3-year residential requirement at Oglethorpe. Definitely think that is great because it is the cheapest way you'll ever live in Brookhaven and in a great part of Atlanta. And also, we don't want students to commute too far. So if you do live within 25 miles of our campus, you are able to commute. You are exempt from that rule. It's 25 miles just because it's city traffic. And so we do not want you guys to be unsuccessful driving from 40, 50 miles away every single day. Definitely can be not super feasible. So living on campus is a great option, great alternative to that super long commute for those that are outside of that range. So we do have 8 on-campus residence halls, different kinds of housing and floor plans available there at different price points, and would love to answer more questions about those if you have them. We are also partnered with a apartment complex called The Gables, and you'll see, my little box with me talking might be covering it up. It is on my side, but this, building that I'm pointing out with the cursor right here, it looks like it's a part of Oglethorpe's campus. It has that same kind of architecture. The land is actually leased to The Gables by Oglethorpe, so we do own that land, and because of that, we basically were able to kind of strike a deal with them, where our students, after your freshman year, are able to lease an apartment, and that would be satisfying your housing requirement. Because it is, like I said, I can see this from my office window. This is extremely close to campus. This basically is a part of campus. And so you could, if you were not really loving dorm life or dorm life maybe just isn't for you, which is totally fine, you could look into doing the Gables as part of your housing requirement after your freshman year. And those apartments are super nice. I'm definitely very jealous of the students who get to live in them. And it's a very connected part of our campus. So down here in this breezeway, there's actually smart classrooms that our campus uses. There are classes over there. So at one point or another, you'll probably make your way over to the Gables. Another thing that's not on this slide, but I think is so worth mentioning is, so if we were looking, if this picture was extended, over here would be Oglethorpe, and then past on the other side of this building is something called Town Brookhaven. And it's kind of just like a little, when I was in person at the office, which has been for a very long time, I have not been. I used to walk there every single day just to get like some steps, just get some fresh air. Also, sometimes just go do some fun stuff. So there's a lot of shopping down there. There's a Costco and a Publix. If you have a Costco, I don't know what on earth you would need as a from Costco as a college student in bulk. If you have a Costco membership with your family, though, it is right there. Also, a Publix in walking distance, so that you can grab some groceries. There's tons of like boutique shopping if you're like a big shopper, and also even just like a Marshalls. So if you're ever like, I just need a pair of jeans, I just need a new pair of jeans, or I need a white T-shirt. So a cheaper option maybe for college students. That's walking distance and lots of fun places to eat. I go eat over there all the time. Sometimes I will drive over there now. And like, even though I don't actually live that close to campus, I will like drive to go get some of the restaurants over there because they are so incredibly good. So I think that that's a fun thing too, that there's all this area of Brookhaven called Town Brookhaven that's just walking distance, like literally 5 minutes away from the building that I work in. So super close to the residence halls as well. And another thing that we are super close to is the MARTA, which is the train that takes us all throughout Atlanta in Atlanta. And so I definitely think MARTA is a great option to avoid some city traffic if you're going into Midtown or in the surrounding areas to do anything. We are just about, I think, a little bit over a mile down the road from MARTA. They do have parking there, so you could take your car down there and then hop on the train to avoid some traffic. But or you could, even definitely walk down there. I would say it would be it's a mile walk, but that's definitely not super far. And I take the train when I can as well. So I really appreciate that that is so close by. Moving along. So our mascot, which I think I always forget to clarify what this is to people who don't know, is a Stormy Petrel. I hope I'm saying it right because I feel like I always say it wrong. The Stormy Petrel is a bird, basically. So our founder, if you're not from Georgia, um, originally, or you just are not familiar, our founder of the colony of Georgia was James Edward Oglethorpe. And he had written in his, which is our namesake of his school, I think that's clear. He had written in his journal about a stormy petrel and how it flew into the eye of a storm and found that inspirational. So now it's the mascot of our school, and he is so goofy and cool. But the Petrol Promise, which is a term, you'll hear the term Petrol a lot if you come to Oglethorpe. The Petrol Promise basically states that if you graduate from Oglethorpe and you are unable to get a job or grad school admission within 6 months of graduation, you can come back and do another year completely tuition free. So that does not include living expenses. You'd have to definitely make a plan for living expenses, but your 5th year is completely tuition free. So if you had a minor in college, maybe you minored in accounting and you wanted to try to turn that into a major, you would be working with a advisor who would make sure that this time is purposeful, you're getting the most out of it. Or if you just wanted to do, some other internship opportunities through Oglethorpe, or you just wanted to take some classes, maybe you ended up you majored in business and you maybe want to kind of get into the science field. So you're going to take some biology classes, different things available. But that is something that is offered. We've never had anyone use it yet because I think this past class that just graduated was the first class that this was offered to that was able to do it. But no one has taken advantage of it yet. We definitely have really good success, and I'm going to touch on that briefly in a second. Getting our students placed in the world, but this is something that's available to you, just a safety net, just to make sure, we think it's on us just as much as it's on you guys to find your place in the world. And so I think that this is a really great safety net, just knowing it's there. You hope you don't have to use it, but you're glad it's there. So thinking more, I know that any students that we have here today are just now thinking about where am I going to go to college and what am I going to do with that? And so it's hard to think at this point, I think, about the next step with the job part. But I think it is, maybe you could definitely rest assured, even if you don't fully know what you want to do yet, that we do have really good success getting our students placed in the world, like I said. So over here on the left side, I think that you will probably recognize most of these names and businesses, if not all of them. These are some of our top partnerships for not only internships, but employment in Atlanta. These are all Atlanta either based or have huge centers in Atlanta. So that is something that, I think I can think of my colleagues who did go to Oglethorpe, and most of them have had an internship or previous employment at one of these places. So that's definitely a very strong partnership that we see here. Of course, so many things outside of this as well, all over the country, even that we have students who have been a part of and done internships, and maybe there's a connection there. But these are some definitely some cool opportunities. And then on the right side, sorry, my Adobe thing's wanting. I hope y'all are not seeing my Adobe thing pop up because it just did. Um, and then over on the right side is a list of graduate programs or professional programs that our students will often go to. This is definitely not all of them at all, but these are some of the top partnerships again, or schools that our students will go on to be a part of. So you'll see here, and I think this is so impressive, and I'm so proud to share this number that 93% of our graduates do have a full-time position or in grad school within 1 year of graduation. So while we have the Petrol Promise and we have these, safety nets for you guys, clearly it is not something that people have to use often, which is awesome. So moving on again to, if we have questions about this, about internships, please drop it in the Q&A function. Okay, sorry, my computer is not enjoying going. All right, so I love this slide. I think it's so cute. Normally, this is where we'd send you out on campus tour. I wish that we could do that today somehow because it is such a beautiful campus, even though it's the gloomiest day in the world. So actually, maybe not today is the best day. This is actually a little word cloud I made a while ago. Asked some of our students when they think of Oglethorpe, what words come to mind. And these were some of the top ones that came up. And so I think that definitely, as a staff member, I resonate with this. It is a unique community. It is a community, that's for sure. The smallness of the school, I think, definitely yields to that. It is unique, and it definitely is inclusive and diverse. And you meet these people that you would have never met in a normal, situation in your life. And that I was able to work with a student ambassador who just graduated, who I really loved, had a great relationship with, and he was from Belgium. When would I have ever met anyone from Belgium? And I think that is so cool. So you just meet all these, very unique people from all over the country and all over the world, and so many walks of life, which I think is awesome. Also, such a service-oriented school. I definitely see that so much in Oglethorpe and in the students in general that they care about giving back to the communities that they're from, the community of Atlanta, things like that. And quirky and unique are also definite words I would use. I know I always laugh at Hogwarts with the castle-like buildings. Hogwarts always comes up. You can see behind me. It definitely does. Probably today it looks like Hogwarts with all the rain. But Oglethorpe is a unique place, and that's just that is me not even being a salesman. That is me completely being honest with you. Oglethorpe is like nowhere else I have ever been a part of in my life, and I think that if you're looking for an experience like that, that is kind of unique and where you can make your own way in the world, full of people who also care a lot and want to make their own way in the world, then I think Oglethorpe can definitely be a good fit for you. And that's the question that we're asking ourselves, right? Would I be a good fit for this institution? So moving on again, too, like I said, Tucker is an alum, so feel free to ask him questions or, uh, we'll drop our contact information after this is over as well so we can get some more. Definitely don't want you guys to feel like we have to commit these numbers to memory because that is an intimidating task. But I did just want to touch on some of the merit opportunities we have. So we are a private school, and initially that sticker shock of seeing the tuition can be so scary. You're like, oh, there's no way I can afford this. But do not fear because most of our students, over 90% of our students receive between 18 and 23,000 in merit aid at least, if and most receive much more than that. And so that's a huge stress relief right there. Am I right? So we have, like I said, merit aid between 18 to $23,000. That's based on academics, and that is obviously Oglethorpe scholarship. We also have an OU grant. It's basically just for filling out the FAFSA, which you essentially have to do anyway. So it's just free money for filling out the FAFSA, $500 right then and there. The FAFSA, if you guys may not have really thought about the FAFSA yet. You may have thought about the FAFSA a lot. Um, Definitely an important document to fill out. It can be intimidating if you've never done it before. My advice would be to not let it intimidate you because it seems really confusing, but just don't overthink it because it ultimately is there to help you get more money. So from your FAFSA, you would get need-based aid if needed, if that applies. That would also determine if you're eligible for the Pell Grant. The Pell Grant is basically we don't have any control over it, but it is a federal grant that the FAFSA determines if you would be eligible for low income families. It also would determine your Stafford loans. Now, every single person who is a U.S. citizen who is FAFSA eligible is offered up to 5,500. I guess just they all are offered 5,500 in Stafford loans their freshman year. That actually does go up over time. Definitely, student loans can be a scary thought. We want to be very informed, right, when we're making such a big financial decision. Stafford loans have a 2.75% fixed interest rate. For students, that is like flying over your head because you probably have not thought a lot about interest rates or loans. And I love that for you because I think often about student loan interest rates. But 2.75% fixed, meaning it's never going to change, is really low. And so if it's a great opportunity to, um, definitely get to college, make sure that you're getting that, and then you're able to pay it when you have a job full time after graduation. So happy to answer more questions about that process as well and how that works at Oglethorpe specifically. Another thing we have moving back to the institutional side are music and IB scholarships. So if you go to an IB school, if you don't know what that means, then you do not go to IB school, so never fear. But if you do go to an IB school, you're going to graduate with the IB diploma. We do offer a $1,500 scholarship to students who are able to complete that because that curriculum is very similar to Oglethorpe's. Excuse me, guys. So sorry about that. Got a tickle in my throat for a second there. We also offer some music scholarships. So if you're a musician, either voice or instrumental, something that you can do is during our scholarship weekend, I am going to touch on scholarship weekend a little bit more. You can try out with one of our music faculty. That's between $500 and $1,500 as well. So you could do that and you could be a part of the music program while you are in college. We do not offer athletic scholarships because we are a Division III school. Just want to be transparent about that. Make sure that you guys know that that's not an option at our school. But like I said, so much other aid that is available to you guys, so never fear. Looking at some state aid, if you are a Georgia resident, we will accept $4,300 from the state for Hope and 5,600 from the state for Zell Miller if you're a Zell Miller scholar. The great news is that we also institutionally double that. So we only double it at the Hope Prize. So if you get Zell Miller, it's still 4,300, but you would get an additional 4,300 from us. So that is great, right? Because we're seeing 4,300, but that's actually going to be 8,600. And then obviously will be a 4,300 on top of the Zell Miller price as well. So that's something that we will match institutionally. If you're out of state resident, and you, this is for states that border the state of Georgia. If that does happen to apply to you, we will do an out in the state of Georgia, I think Texas, off the top of my head. We will offer an out-of-state Hope equivalent if you would have qualified for it to try to kind of help that cost a little bit as well. Moving on to some other scholarship opportunities. Now, this scholarship, I'll be transparent, has changed a lot because we used to require a test score component, and this year we've been completely test optional, and next year we will be completely test optional due to the pandemic and students being unable or feeling uncomfortable to, and understandably so, go into a room with 30 other students and take a standardized test. And so we've tried to be flexible with that, and this does vary by state, vary by student. Definitely great for our Georgia residents because they're able to put Hope Scholarship on top of it. So basically, you can see Flagship 50 as a supplement to your merit aid. So it would say, okay, you meet these qualifications. You just have to meet one of them, which is really reasonable. Meet one of these qualifications seen here, the 3.8 GPA or a 30 ACT or a 1400 SAT. And we do super score. We will take your best subsection of each test for all of our scholarship opportunities as well. And it says, okay, this student has, a balance of $15,000, and we want them to not have to pay more than a student at UGA would. UGA, University of Georgia, is the flagship tuition in Georgia. And so the flagship tuition in Georgia is $12,080, and your balance is $15,000. It's going to close that gap. It's going to say, oh, that $2,000, $3,000 difference. We are going to close that with the flagship 50 scholarship to make sure that they would not pay more than what the flagship state tuition is. And we do this for all 50 states. It does look completely different depending on the student, like I said, depending on the state. But that is how you would think about it, is a supplement to your merit aid to make sure that you were not paying more than you would pay at your flagship state tuition. That definitely is a little confusing of a formula. I'm happy to go in more detail for you guys about that. And so is Tucker. If questions are had, it definitely can be kind of hard to understand. Thinking about a couple other scholarship opportunities as well as some admission processes. So we also have a couple full tuition scholarships. I've mentioned a few of them here. We have the James Edward Oglethorpe Scholarship. That's just a general academic scholarship that is full tuition. We also have a theater scholarship as well as a Hammer School of Business scholarship. So in the admission process, your application for admission is your application for everything. If you apply before November the 1st, which is our early action deadline, then we are going to evaluate you for scholarship weekend. Not a guarantee you'd be invited, but we will evaluate you to potentially nominate you to come compete for those full tuition opportunities. And then this year we did a completely virtual scholarship weekend. Definitely hoping that next year that will not be the case, and that we're able to host you guys on campus in person. So looking at the application, which is not only our application to the school, but our application for these scholarships and scholarship programs. So things that are absolutely required, the application itself, we do the Common App, as well as you can apply through our website. We need your transcripts, which is very important. We need that official copy from your school, sent directly from your school, and your personal statement. So at a school like Oglethorpe, you are going to be evaluated like by someone like me or Tucker or one of my other colleagues who are going to want to understand who you are on a personal level. And so your personal statement is your essay. It can literally be about pretty much, I read crazy essays, some awesome, some kind of just crazy, about that our students have written about, and all over the board on subject matter. And so you have a chance to kind of express yourself, introduce yourself as an adult, write about something really unique or cool, or, that introduces the person that you are, which I think is awesome. And so that's definitely important. We also have a few short answer questions, which I find important as well. Optional things, we will take test scores, and it can definitely help if you have an impressive test score. It can definitely help on the scholarship and merit aid side. But we are not requiring that, definitely with the pandemic. That's not required this year or next year. You could also set up an interview if needed. Definitely not super common, but that is something that either, an admission counselor may request or the student may request. You can also do a video submission. Sometimes a student, I understand this, definitely feels better, they're a better communicator when they're just talking. So I will have sometimes a student upload a video where they'll just talk a little bit about who they are and um, why they think they should be admitted to the school. And you can also submit recommendations. So that is just a few things that if you think is going to make your application stronger, by all means you can submit that. So we also have a virtual tour for you guys. I'm going to drop a link to it in the chat in just a minute, or if Tucker is able to pull it up and drop it for you guys, that would also be helpful. I don't want to screen share it because it screen shares so horribly and it looks really bad for you guys, but we have a really good campus tour that's kind of able to like make you visualize how campus is set up. So I would encourage you guys to take a look at that. It's super easy to navigate. Um, and we're pretty much done. I'm definitely open to some questions if need to address, but I did want to show you a few. How do I do that? Okay, here we go. Here's a few pictures just around campus for you guys to see as we are wrapping up. So here's some athletic facilities. I did mention the black basketball court, so I'm glad there's a picture of that in there because that is unique. And then the baseball field, and then we do have like I think that this other picture is an old picture of the basketball court because it's definitely black now. And then of course you're able to work out if you just want to work out just for your own personal fitness. We have a gym available. Some residence hall pictures. These are all of the outside, and actually a lot of our residence halls have been pretty recently updated. So I don't know that these are like the best photos of them. But here are a few just different options. There's so many different layouts and options as far as residence halls at Oglethorpe. Here's if you're a theater person or if you just like want to go to theater and do fun stuff. There's a theater on campus called the Colonel Theater. They put on amazing productions there. I've had a pleasure of seeing some. Also, they just like have campus events in there. If you come for orientation, you definitely will have some things happen in Conant Theater. And that is actually the end of my presentation. I will go ahead and hand it back over because I know that we're kind of coming to the end of time. I didn't think I'd be able to talk this long, but I totally did. I'm going to hand it back over to Matt. And we are available again for a few more minutes with a chat question function. And I'm going to drop in the chat my email as well as Tucker's email so that you guys can see it.
Great. Well, thank you so much for that presentation. Again, if anybody has any last minute questions, please do put them in the Q&A. But otherwise, I want to say thank you for joining us. Thank you to our presenter for all that great information. When you close this window, there will be a link to a very quick 4-question survey, and we'd appreciate any feedback that you can provide. As a reminder, this is just one of many different sessions happening with this college fair, so please do sign up for additional sessions. In about a week, you'll be able to find this session's recording as well as others at strivescan.com/Atlanta. So with that, I think we are finished with this session. And again, just thank you to our presenters and have a great evening.
Thank you guys. Have a good one.